Hello students, it's me Mr. DB and welcome to lesson number 2 on how to duel. The last lesson we covered the main monsters in your main deck, and this time we're going to be covering the rest of the cards that you can add to your deck, the spells and trap cards. Now the spells and trap cards can do one of two things. They can help you or hurt your opponent. And I'm going to be talking about each and every one in this lesson today. At least the ones that I know of. Alright, so first of all, it's going to be the normal spell card. This spell card you can play from your hand, and once its effects are resolved, then you have to place it into the graveyard. But your opponent can counter a normal spell card with a card of their own. You see, it's all based on the thing called spell speed. A normal spell card is a spell speed 1, the slowest. And your opponent can counter with a card that's either a spell speed 2 or a spell speed 3. Usually it's a spell speed 2, which would be kind of like a regular trap card. Or they might play a spell speed 3, which is a counter trap that allows your opponent to counter your spell card and automatically destroy it. So, if you don't have any other cards that will counter your opponent's cards, then this card gets destroyed and you won't be able to activate its effect. So this card is Polymerization. In order for you to use this card, you have to have at least 2 monsters, unless your Fusion's monster card says otherwise. This is the card that you use to fusion summon into your fusion monster. You have to have those monsters either on the field or in your hand. And then you can activate this spell card, put all of that into the graveyard, including Polymerization. And then you can fusion summon your fusion monster from your extra deck, which we'll discuss in the next lesson. Next card is called the Equip spell card. This card allows you to equip it or have it in play while a monster is also in play, and that monster will gain the effects that this Equip spell card gives it to. And that's basically represented by the cross symbol in the top right. Just look at the top right for any symbol. If it does have a symbol, then that card will be of that particular type. The normal spell cards do not have a symbol, but Equip spell cards have the cross, Quick Place have the lightning bolt, Continuous has the sideways 8 infinity, Rituals have the fire, and Field spells have some sort of like shuriken-like thing. Alright, so, and by the way, for Equip spell cards, you might want to watch out because some of them, but I think most of them might say that if this card was destroyed, destroy the monster that was equipped with this card, or vice versa. If the monster gets destroyed, you have to destroy the equipped spell card too. Alright, so next one is the Infinity symbol card, the Continuous spell card, and this card stays out on the field even after you first play it. And because of that, you get to activate its effect once again each turn after you've originally played this card. So this card is Dark Magical Circle. It basically lets you search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card that states Dark Magician in its name, or a spell or trap card that specifically lists the card, the Dark Magician, among them, and add them to your hand. You can place the other 2 cards, or if you don't find anything, you can place all 3 of those top cards back on the top of your deck in any order. But that's just one of many effects that spell cards can have, and it works with spellcasters too. So if you're running something like one of those Magician Girl decks, you might want to use this card in order to search out Dark Magician to use Dark Magician Girl's effect. Alright, next up is the Field spell, and there used to be a rule that only one field spell could be in play at a time, either on your side or on your opponent's side, because it affected the entire playing area. But that is not the case anymore. This card only affects just your side of the field, but its effect can affect both players. But now what I'm trying to say is that even though it's actually on your side of the field, its effect can affect both players. So discard what I said earlier. And both you and your opponent can have a field spell card out now at the same time. And there is a special spot where you can place the field spells in the side of the field zone, which is going to be right up here on this mat. But this isn't actually the right mat that I'm using. I'll show you that when we get to the dueling part of the How to Duel series. But again, even though both you and your opponent both have field spells out now, both those field spells can affect both players. Alright, next card is the Quick Play spell. And this is a showcase of an example of one of many Quick Play spell cards that have been printed. Let's look for the lightning bolt on the top right-hand corner next to the word spell card. So symbols will be next to the word spell cards if the card is of a certain type. And what you can do with this card is that you can either play it as if it were a normal spell card, or you can set it face down and play it as if it was a trap card. And trap cards I'll be going over later on in this episode. It's still a pretty cool way to spring a quick card on your opponent. And one of the last kinds of spell cards that you can have. There still might be others, so you can check the official rulebook, which is found in any structure deck or starter deck. This card is called the Ritual card. This card is used to ritual summon a ritual monster. Again, a ritual monster is one of the monsters that you have in your main deck, if you wanted to use one. And this particular card here, Advanced Ritual Art, allows you to special ritual summon a monster by sending normal monsters from your deck to the graveyard whose total levels equal the level of that ritual monster. Very useful in Blue Eyes decks if you're running Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. If you have both this card and Chaos Max Dragon in your hand, you can then activate this card and send just the Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your graveyard, and that'll allow you to ritual summon Chaos Max Dragon. But that's just an example. And usually, when you play a ritual monster, it will state what type of ritual spell card it needs in order for you to summon it. So keep that in mind. Alright, next is the trap cards. And just like spell cards, trap cards can also have symbols on it. But if they don't have any on the top right-hand corner, then they're just a normal trap card, like this one. Once a normal trap card is played, then you have to immediately place it into your graveyard, just like a normal spell card. But in order for you to play a trap card, unless it says specifically in its effect that it allows you to play it from your hand, you have to set it down face down first. And keep in mind, if you have all 5 of your spell or trap card zones all filled up, you can't play any more spell or trap cards unless you get a chance to play one of those spell or trap cards already face down. And the criteria must be met in order for you to play one of those certain cards. Now this card is called Magic Cylinder. What it can do is that it can stop an opponent's attack and redirect all of those opponents' attack points from their attack point monster and take them off their opponent's life points. That's a pretty sweet card. I think this is one of my favorite trap cards of all time. Another one of my favorites is a card called Mirror Force. Fortunately, I don't have it out right now, but what that card can do is that once you set it on your turn, then during your opponent's turn, if they feel confident enough to have like an onslaught of monsters come in to attack you, you can then spring it on them. And any of their attack position monsters are destroyed automatically. All of them, if all of them are in attack position. Alright, so the next trap card here is a continuous trap card. which again works like a continuous spell card. It'll stay out on the field even when it's first played. This is called Eternal Soul. Basically, your Dark Magicians are unaffected by any spell effects or any of your opponent's card effects, either spell, trap, or monster. But if this card does leave the field, then all of your monsters are destroyed. But with this card, you can either special summon a Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, or if you already have a Dark Magician out, you can use its second effect to get out a Thousand Knives or Dark Magic Attack. Thousand Knives with Dark Magician on the field. If you use that card, you can instantly destroy one of your opponent's monsters. And Dark Magic Attack, I think it destroys at least one, possibly more, of your opponent's spell or trap cards. Alright, so the final one I wanted to talk about today is the Counter Trap card. This is a Spell Speed 3 trap card. And you can use this card, if you run Madolches, you can use this particular card, with name being Madolche Knight. When a monster effect is activated, you can activate this trap card in a counter to that monster effect. Or there's also other cards in which you can use to counter your opponent's spell cards, and even your opponent's trap cards too. And this symbol is the one pointing with the arrow pointing to the left. So this could be a pretty useful type of card in your deck. Now, when you activate one of these cards, it could start something that we like to call a chain. A chain is cards used in succession, one after the other. Once they are announced and once they are activated, and the last card is activated in that chain, that last card will get its effects resolved first. So if that last card's effects destroys the next card that would have had its effects resolved in the chain, that card gets destroyed, and they go on to the card that was played before that particular card. So it goes on until all of the effects are resolved. Alright, so that's going to end today's lesson. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please make sure to leave a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And next time, we'll be talking about the extra deck monsters. And also stay tuned for a video on the Forbidden/Limited list. For those of you that didn't know what that is, that's a list of cards that you can either use 2 copies of, 1 copies of, or not at all. So, I'm DB, and I'll catch y'all next time. Class is dismissed.